Thank you. Now we know what I'm going to talk about, which is good, because I know you've been thinking about how you make yourself miserable. So my work is much easier. It's true. So the book, I heard about this book, and I've been planning to work with this book for a long time. Rob Fagerland brought it to my attention. Thank you, Rob. It's called How to Be Miserable. 40 strategies you already use. Now that's jaw-dropping until you start reading the book and you realize it's all true. It's all true. So he starts out. Actually, I should look at this. So first I have to ask forgiveness from all the psychologists and the social workers, because I don't really know what I'm going to talk. I don't really know what I'm talking about. I don't have the background, but I do know the difference between feeling good and feeling bad. I mean, I know the difference, and you know the difference too. So I guess what I would like to do is just help us be a little more aware of some of the subtle and unperceived ways that we make ourselves miserable, because our true nature is happiness. So one of my quotes that I get about 5 different daily quotes on my email. One of them went like this: sometimes you just need to lie on the couch and read for a couple of years. And of course, it's true. Many of us feel like it's time to do that. So it's just so easy in this world that when we look out on the world, it's just so easy to be depressed, because so many difficult things are happening. But why personally do we have to buy into that, and why do we have to just almost ignore our spiritual self? We're just pulled. We're just pulled so much, and so my way of coping is laughter, of course, and that's why I love this book so much. So I'm not going to give you 40 things. You're going to have to figure out your special part of those 40 things. But I want to explore a few of my favorites. So lying on the couch for a couple of years. One of our favorite things to do is to make excuses for anything and everything that we're expecting from ourselves. We know we shouldn't have a steady diet of the news, but we're curious. Our nature is to be curious. What's going on? What could I be missing? And we already know that what attracts us, although we say, oh, that attracts other people, all that bad news attracts other people, but not me. I just wait for the good news. Well, on the news I listen to, there's a half hour of bad news and 2 minutes of good news at the very end. And great. But it's very important to perhaps know the difference. We don't always know the difference. I notice, one thing I notice, and you will notice, and you may do this yourself, is you're using the pandemic as an excuse for something, for anything, for everything that you want to do, or you wanted to do, or you're trying to do, or that other people are doing, and you think maybe you want to do it too. I mean, and we don't need to make excuses. We don't need to, really. So the pandemic was the best thing for me. It was 2 weeks before everything stopped, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So I wanted to hunker down. I needed to hunker down, and I enjoyed that time hunkering down. I lost one of my jobs for a while. Oh, great! I was great. It was great. I felt there was an ease that came over me that I had not been experiencing before that. So I can't complain about the pandemic. I can't complain about it. So, and of course, every time we're very ill, we have an opportunity to, it's an opportunity. It's just pure opportunity to go to Spirit, to find spiritual ways to live that we may not have been living before, to find spirituality out of great difficulty. And that's an endless opportunity. We can do it in little bits every day, or we can do it in big things like getting very sick. So each one of us has a fabulous, unique story. Make sure you take your story very, very seriously, because you're the only one who has that story. And make sure everyone knows about this unique, special story. And worry about everything. I mean, really worry that maybe somebody won't listen to you. Of course not. We've got our own stories in our own heads. Who wants to listen to another story? But we all do, of course. And we do enjoy other people's stories as well as our own. So worry about everything. Now, another thing that I love to do is to doubt everything I do. I'll be in the middle of doing something. I'll be in the middle of my work, my massage therapy work. Should I be doing this? Should I retire? Should I? Is this the right kind of work to be doing at this time on this person? Who knows? I don't know. But fortunately, it doesn't stop me from doing my work, or from going ahead and doing something. From certain parts of gardening. Should I spend all this money on these plants? Yes. Yes. No. No. Yes. Another possibility is, don't do anything that you don't want to do. I mean, why else would my house be so cluttered? I am amazing at following my own advice. And of course we are. And of course we justify that. We make excuses for ourselves. And it's okay. I mean, there's no problem, basically. It doesn't matter. But don't do anything you don't want to do. That's a big one. And identify with your body. After all, you're your body. Decorate it. Compare it to others with better bodies. Especially people younger than you are. And especially people with more hair. I mean, I did not walk into this place without noticing Jean's hair, I mean, oh, heaven help us. Yes, heaven help us. Notice how you want perfect health. You do, and you think you deserve it. You deserve it. But then you eat the pint of ice cream and you feel bad. Well, feel bad. Just notice it. Oh, here's a good one. Here's a really good one. Cultivate toxic relationships. Part 3 of his book is Hell is Other People. And isolate yourself, too. Isolate yourself. An easy one. Relationships are completely fraught with ways. I'm laughing so hard I'm crying. I mean, so I have a couple of relationship stories, but I'm missing the story that I was going to start. I'll have to tell it later. It's pretty funny. Unfortunately, it's pretty funny. So, complainers in your life, you listen respectively to complainers, but then you try to figure out how you're going to get rid of them. I mean, and you know what's good about the pandemic? You only have to listen to complainers on the phone. You don't have to be with them, which is a little harder, because when you're with the person, you're using you're giving your whole energy, the wholeness of who you are. And of course, there's various other kinds of toxic relationships. That's just one. That's just one. There are people who seem to suck you in about certain things, or will talk to you but won't look at you. And so there's some borderline relationships that you don't want to lose, but you don't want to keep them either. Do you? So Larry, my late husband, used to be late for everything, important or not important. I would get so angry. I felt so, I mean, sometimes these were important. We'd be at least a half hour late for any family get-together. I would get very angry, and so sometimes I would be haranguing for most of the trip that it took us to get where we were going. And I was miserable, and he was miserable too. But eventually I realized it was my problem. I blamed him, as we often do, blame the other person in any relationship, not taking responsibility. Finally, I took responsibility. I stopped. I mostly stopped. I can't say I completely stopped. But as I stopped being angry, he stopped being late. and things lost their drama, which was very good. So before I met Larry, I had a couple other relationships. One was with a guy named John. He was very much into the Course in Miracles, and I was just so enamored with him. I don't think it was because of his spirituality, but the spirituality part gave reason for everything, an excuse sort of for everything that I wanted to feel in this relationship. It gave me reason. I mean, and the relationship itself, I didn't really love spending a lot of time with him because he would challenge me, and then about what I was doing, and then I didn't really like being alone at home either, but I didn't like being with him. Anyway, I just spent a lot of time thinking about this relationship, just thinking about it. And of course, my heart felt heavy. It was heavy. And I don't really know how to describe how I felt, but it was, I suddenly realized what I was doing. It just came on like a light. I don't have to do that to myself. I didn't have to do that to myself. And all at once, this great load lifted off of me. And eventually the relationship ended, but I was suddenly free. Imagine that. I wasn't even realizing what I was doing to myself. And this had been going on for months. This was going on for months. We get used to feeling miserable. And it feels justified considering the problems that are in the world. We feel that like the world is causing this. And yes, it is in a way, but we're giving room to the world in our hearts. And there's no room in there. There's no room in there. We're full of love. There's no room in there for endless troubles, for endless agonizing over something that's true or not true. We reflect what we think the world is. And what if we decided to be a reflection of Spirit, which we truly are? And you can see there is an endless pit of opportunities to cultivate and pursue misery. Not setting goals in your life, just simple goals, is a source of misery. Or if you set no goals, or if you set them way too high so that you never, ever will be able to attain them. But we don't need to be a reflection of that misery that we are creating. So it's important to remember that you're not your story. You have a story. And these stories are wonderful opportunities for learning. We have a story, and what are we learning from it? What is it? What kind of spiritual energy is it offering to us to embrace? So you are spirit. You are much bigger than any story could possibly be. So here's a little story for you. 2 or 3 days ago, I was low on oil, so I checked my oil, and it was low. So I went out and I bought some oil after looking in the book and seeing what I needed. And then I went to put it in the car. You know, I lifted up the hood, and there was the oil thing where over here on the left where you test how much oil you have. And then in the middle here is your radiator, and that's a yellow cap. And over here, there's another cap. It's also a yellow cap, which I didn't notice. So I undo this cap, and there's a reservoir in there. I think, great. So I begin to pour oil into my coolant. And suddenly I see the yellow cap over here says engine oil. Anyway, I'm still in the process of fixing that issue, but I have 2 cars. So I'm very, very grateful that Larry left me his car, and I have 2, so I'm driving the car I haven't driven for a long time. All I needed to do was look at what the caps were actually telling me. But it's pretty funny. So this is my, I guess this has to be my principal point. Laugh at yourself. Laugh at everything, especially yourself. And actually, this is one thing I have become very good at, because I am such a good example of the reason for laughing. So my Subaru sits quietly in the yard waiting for me to attend to getting the oil out of the coolant. Thank you, Randall, for your advice. So we have an opportunity to embrace the world, understanding that it will never be everything we want it to be. Our bodies will never be what we want them to be. Our hair will never be what we used to have and what we would really love it to be. So we need to just embrace the world and all that we have created, because it has both beauty and fear. It has both love and hate. This is our world, and it's important to remember that we are creative, spiritual beings, and we are in fact in every moment creating our world. So these are the antidotes. I'm talking about the antidotes to misery, and of course one of them is laughing at yourself. And being aware. To me, being aware is very important. So I need to be more aware. Obviously, I need to be even more aware. Another part of becoming the antidote to the misery that you're creating as well. Don't run from anything. Embrace the world. Are the Ukrainians running? No. The president, Zelensky, was a stand-up comic and an actor. He's become a hero. He's become a hero of unusual courage. And so in our own lives, we can become our own heroes. We can become the one we look up to, the one we notice courage in. We can notice that in ourselves. Another part of an antidote is to be grateful for everything. Be grateful for everything. At the same time, ask for help for others from Spirit. Spirit is guiding us all the time, giving us information, offering help, offering the sense of completeness and wholeness and all the things that we need Spirit to be. Spirit is there. And we may not be listening. So my quest for myself would be to listen more, listen for the voice of Spirit, listen for the urging that Spirit gives me. There are many ways to become the peace that we are, to become the happiness of the true self. We've forgotten how beautiful, strong, creative, and compassionate we are as human beings. So let's just become who we actually are. And now it's your turn.